I would like to call the regular meetings of the Public Finance Authority, Water Utility Authority, Housing Successor Agency, and City Council to order. City Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Sarno.
Here.
Councilmember Trujillo. Councilmember Zamora.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez.
Here.
And Mayor Mora.
Here. I'd like to call upon Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez to give us the invocation.
Please stand. Our Heavenly Father, we give thanks tonight for the privilege of meeting together to deliberate on matters affecting our city. We ask for your guidance in our efforts to work for the betterment of our community. In your name, we pray. Amen.
I'd like to call upon Aaron Doss from the Youth Leadership Committee to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Could you please state your name and what school you're going to?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Aaron Doss, and I am currently a junior at Santa Fe High School, and I am here on behalf of the Youth Leadership Committee.
Thank you so much, Aaron. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, public comments are now open. Anyone join us through Zoom can use the raise hand function if you wish to make a public comment on any item on or not on the agenda. The city clerk will see if you have raised your hand through the Zoom application. For those that are here to make a public comment in person, you will have an opportunity once the city clerk announces your name. You will have 3 minutes to speak. City clerk, do we have any members of the public that wish to speak today?
Mr. Mayor, before I announce the names, I would like to announce that David Schicklin, from a general manager from Golden State Water Company, submitted a written public comment that was forwarded to all council earlier today, and it will be made part of the agenda packet for anyone that wishes to get a copy. First, we have Lori Rios.
Good evening. My name is Lori Rios. My address is 9410 Bradwell Avenue. And on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Aguirre and I, we are here to present some flowers to Councilwoman Juanita Trujillo, and we wish her the best and happy belated birthday. Thank you.
Wow. Real, look at that. She's 55 now.
I'm not 55.
Oh, God.
Thank you. Are there any more speakers?
Mr. Mayor, we have three more speakers via Zoom. The first one is Leticia Vasquez.
Okay. Okay, please state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Leticia Vasquez Wilson. I'm one of 7 current members of the Central Basin Board. I'm here to speak on the frivolous lawsuit against me that has been voted and supported on your behalf by Public Works Director, Mr. Noah Negretti, who serves as your appointed representative on the Central Basin Board. This lawsuit is a part of a pattern and practice of harassment and retaliation by your Public Works Director, Mr. Noah Negretti, who currently serves as the Central Basin Vice President. Mr. Negretti is working in collaboration with Director Art Chacon, whose serial criminal convictions have been prominently featured in the LA Times. Also working with known sexual harasser, Mr. Bob Apodaca, where the district paid $750,000 in a sexual harassment settlement claim that was filed against him. These are the sorts of individuals that you have representing you on the Central Basin Municipal Water District Board of Directors. They have continued with their pattern and practice of harassing the women directors by not allowing us or continually muting us during board meetings so that we cannot participate since we have not returned to live board meetings. They continue to refuse to provide basic information such as legal fees invoices that as a board members, we're required to vote on during each meetings. Our comments are relegated to 3 minutes. These are the women on the board. And by the way, our speaking time is always timed. The men's speaking time is never timed. These are just a part of a larger pattern and practice of harassment, retaliation, and discrimination that Mr. Negretti has engaged in. As I mentioned, the frivolous lawsuit was supported by Mr. Negretti. I will be moving forward, as I have mentioned in the past, with my own litigation. And it is my hope that you have a discussion with Mr. Negretti. He will be held personally liable for his part in this pattern and practice of harassment and discrimination at Central Basin. Thank you very much for your time and have a great evening.
Mr. Mayor, next we have Richard.
Okay, Richard, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Richard Lozano, and I live in an area known as the Triangle. We have not received any paving in our community for the past 7.5 years that I've been living here. They continue to do small amounts of patchwork on some of the holes and some of the cracks that are in the street. And I say holes because they're actually potholes in our block. I noticed today that they came out and did some more patching, more asphalt patching. The problem with this is if you keep patching these holes without reapplying the correct asphalt, you're causing more corrosion to the earth underneath the asphalt. As the water seeps through anytime it rains, it'll continuously wash away and erode the dirt that's underneath our streets here in the Triangle. We seem to be one of the only areas in all of Santa Fe Springs that has not been tended to when it comes to street erosion. It's becoming very harmful now in the streets. There's a lot of rock and debris. Even after the patching today, they left more asphalt, rock, and debris out in the streets. We need to know as a community when this is going to be taken care of. I speak with my neighbors, and everybody voices the same concerns that this is unsafe for our children. Our kids want to ride bikes out in the streets and they can't. The roads are just in a terrible, terrible mess. It was allowed for Caltrans to drive through Guard Street, which is not rated for heavy machinery, and yet and still they were driving tractors through, big rigs through, and the streets just got more eroded as those years went on with them driving over and over. At some point, we need council to take notice of our streets, which are just south of Florence in the area known as the Triangle. I've spoken with several of my neighbors. Everyone all feels the same. I understand you guys have another meeting coming up. I'll make sure more of my neighbors are on that meeting because this is a very serious issue. As a homeowner in the community and as a taxpayer, I feel disrespected when I see streets that have already been repaved just because they get some slight erosion, go and get repaved before any of our streets have been attempted to be repaved. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Can we get his address and number and maybe have Noe or somebody keep in contact with him to let him know, please?
We can go ahead and maybe request him to announce that because there's no way for me to find out the information via Zoom. I only see the name. There's no personal information shared. So perhaps if he is hearing us, maybe contact my office, the city clerk's office, to provide that information. I could share that with the council.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Robert, if you're still on, can you please contact the city clerk?
are you still there?
I think his name was Richard.
I can't-
Lozano.
Richard,
Yeah,
Yes.
we did speak with him. Councilmember Rodriguez put me in touch with him a few weeks ago. We spoke with him and his wife. And
Correct.
We, as part of that conversation, we suggested he come to the council and voice his concerns.
okay,
We can definitely follow up with him.
okay.
Thank
Look into it.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, there's more to that backstory, and we understand the frustration of that neighborhood. They're correct when it was identified by the speaker that that was impacted by the Caltrans expansion. There is money that's supposed to be placed for that fixing of those roads. They have delayed in giving those funding so we can start that. We will have a discussion in 2 weeks regarding infrastructure in the city. The one caution is that if we go forward before the reimbursement, we would never, it's damage that Caltrans caused, they should pay for it. But if we fix it before them, we won't get reimbursed. So it's a tricky deal, but we understand the concerns of that neighborhood, and we'll have the discussion in 2 weeks.
Okay. Any more speakers?
Mark Rajeda.
Okay, Mark. All right, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, good evening, Mayor Mora and members of the council. Appreciate you taking the time tonight. My name is Mark Rajeda. I serve as the president of the Central Basin Water Association. I'm also the general manager for the Pico Water District. And I wanted to say tonight to the entire council that Mr. Noe Negretti represents the city extremely well and professional on the Central Basin Municipal Water District Board. We as a purveyor, we the purveyors are very lucky to have him representing us on that board. Council members, there is no frivolous lawsuits going on. The board goes through and discusses at length all of the issues, works together. The Central Basin Municipal Water District Board works together to deliberate. All of them, as I see it, and other purveyors, council members, see all of the directors being treated fairly, and all of them only speaking for 3 minutes. I want to thank you for allowing us to have the use of Mr. Negretti as one of our appointed directors representing the Big Five. And I can't say enough about how he represents the purveyors very well on that board, which we need. Thank you so much for your time.
Right, thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, you heard earlier from the city clerk, there was another email sent, and it was from the general manager of Golden State Water Company. And it's summarizing the same thing as the previous speaker, that Mr. Negretti is doing an outstanding job in his position. So there is another side, and that he does represent not only the purveyors, but also the residents of the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Any
Mr.
more?
Mayor, we don't have any more speakers.
All right, thank you. We will now close public comments and move on to the next item. Item number 6, Public Finance Authority agenda. We have 2 consent items. Is there a motion for the approval of items 6A and 6B?
I'll move to window. Oh, sorry.
We have motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So ordered. Item number 7, Water Utility Authority agenda. We have 3 consent items. Is there a motion for the approval of items 7A through 7C?
I move.
I'll second.
We have motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So ordered. Item number 8, Housing Successor Agenda. We have 1 consent item. Is there a motion for the approval of item number 8?
I
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So ordered. Item number 9, Successor Agency Agenda. We have 1 consent item. Is there a motion for the approval of item number 9?
I'll move.
I second.
Motion is second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So ordered. Item number 10, City Council Agenda. We have 5 consent items. Is there a motion for the approval of City Council Agenda, consent agenda?
I'll move 10A through E.
You got a motion is second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So ordered. Item number 11, introduction of ordinance number 1119, an ordinance to repeal Chapter 50, Collection of Solid Waste and Recyclables of Title 5, and adopting a new Chapter 50, Collection of Solid Waste and Recyclables of Title 5 of the City of Santa Fe Springs Municipal Code. I would like to call upon Municipal Affairs Manager Maribel Garcia.
Good evening, Mayor and honorable council members. Tonight, I'm bringing this upon you once again. This is on our organics recycling that's being mandated effective January 1, 2022. Here's a quick background. So SB 1383, like I've mentioned before, requires a 50% reduction in organic waste disposal from the levels we had in 2014 to the levels that we just completed in 2020, and a 75% reduction by 2025. So this is something that's going to be nationwide. So it's going to affect everybody. This will require the diversion of up to 27 million tons of organic waste by 2025, and this will also help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. There we go. In addition, SB 1383 requires that not less than 20% of edible food that is currently disposed be recovered for human consumption by 2025. So now our ordinance that was first adopted, ordinance number 1003, amending chapter 50 regarding solid waste, originally passed here before you at a city council meeting of September 9, 2009. In June of 2016, the city's consultant, Muni Environmental, determined that the existing ordinance was deficient. It did not address current regulatory recycling requirements, lacked measures to enforce road haulers, lacked language that coincided with current waste collection and recycling efforts. And because of that, we then adopted ordinance number 1101, which passed March 8, 2019. That repealed chapters 50 and 116. And with that, we compiled both of those and came up with a new chapter 50 titled Collection of Solid Waste and Recyclables. And it was repealed at that time because we needed to add, at that time was language that addressed the requirements from Cal Recycle and the Cal Green Building Code. And what we are proposing now, we are not proposing, it's the state that's proposing upon the nation, is for us to have a new recycling permit program. And also this will address construction debris, which we all know as C&D recycling requirements. And now with that, we have in front of you is the new ordinance number 1119 titled Repeal. This is to repeal chapter 50, the collection of solid waste and recyclables of ordinance 1101, and replace it with the new one, ordinance number 1119. And this will address these issues that are here as follows. It includes new definitions for SB 1383, which are new state law requirements for food service organizations, requirements for tier 1 and tier 2 commercial edible food generators, requirements for large venue or large event edible food generators, requirements for commercial generators, organic recycling waivers, new procurement requirements, and new recycling permit program. It will also address construction and debris recycling requirements. So again, all this new information is just not that we're doing it citywide. Again, it's nationwide. So you'll see this across every city, and everywhere you go and visit throughout the United States, everybody's gonna have to comply with these new requirements. So what I'm asking today is we want to introduce by title only and waive the further reading of ordinance number 1119. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
No, thank you. Very well done. Okay. Is there a motion for the approval of item number 11?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay, I'd like to call upon the city attorney to read the title of ordinance number 1119.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Ordinance number 1119 is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Santa Fe Springs, repealing and replacing Chapter 50, Collection of Solid Waste and Recyclables of Title V of the Santa Fe Springs Municipal Code.
Thank you. Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So ordered. Item number 12, Water Feature Maintenance Service Agreement, approve 1-year extension. I'd like to call upon Director of Public Works, Noah Negrete.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make this short and sweet here. We're asking for a 1-year extension to the existing contract for the water feature pools, currently being done by Payless Pool Service. And we do have the opportunity to extend it 1 more year per the current contract. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you. All right. Do we have a motion?
1 second.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So ordered. Item number 13, Aquatic Center facility status. I'd like to call upon Director of Public Works, Noah Negret.
All right, I think I'll take my time from 12 to 13 then. How's that?
Right.
Got a presentation here for you, and I wish I had better news for you actually than coming here today for this. We're here at this point because there's no more easy solutions in terms of how to fix some of the problems and some of the issues I'm going to bring to your attention. For the past at least 6 years, probably even longer, we've had problems at the Aquatic Center, mainly with the decking. And recently now, a lot of the controls and the water controls have now started to show their age and wear and tear. So the Aquatic Center was originally constructed in March 1985. So that puts it at 36 years old. And like I said, it really is showing signs of wear and tear. We put a lot of Band-Aids on it every season to be able to open it up for the program. And frankly, last year I was really surprised we were able to get through the season. If you recall, we actually started the season late because one of the pumps failed. We were trying to rebuild it. We had to get it replaced. And with COVID and all the lead times happening, we actually started, I think, 5 weeks later than normal. The two main things that are probably beyond repair now is the pool deck. We'll get into that, and the surge pit, and I'll get into that in more detail as well. My main reason to come to you today is to tell you that the next season of 2022 is definitely in jeopardy. I do not see a way that we can fix what we need to fix in time to be able to have a season. And the actual pool season opens in May for the lifeguard training, and we generally end sometime in October. Let's go through the details here. The pool deck itself, if you've been out there, I know a number of you have taken you out there with me over several years. A lot of the cracking, the settling, the sinking, and we've tried various different repairs over the past 12 years. We've tried grinding it several times, painting it. The paint doesn't adhere anymore to the concrete, it flakes out. Our last big one we tried was in 2016. It got us through at least this year, but it has definitely showing signs of failing. One thing to consider, it's been thrown out to maybe hire a contractor to do some x-rays of the concrete. We can do that to get maybe more definitive answers, but on the surface, it appears that that is failing. And you can see here, here's some pictures, and the pictures really don't do it justice because you don't see the totality of all the cracks, especially where the drain areas are and where the cantilevering is over the pool. So you can see where you have a spall there. Let's work here. There you go. That chunk has fallen off. It started like this, and the chunk falls off. And if you see this is a different angle, and we're seeing several areas that are near failing in that area, which really doesn't make it a safe pool for people to be in. On the water side, in terms of the equipment, we did replace that large pool pump just before this season. Those two pumps, those two pits that I'm talking about, each motor and pump has a vault where the water sits in. Both of those vaults have extensive spalling. We don't know the exact extent of it because we would need to empty the pool and empty those vaults out to be able to get a current assessment. The last time we were in there was several years ago, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, and we did see a lot of spalling. We were unsure if it was the liner or the concrete because they look very similar in color, but it was in bad shape 3 or 4 years ago. It's not getting any better. The pool heaters, each pool has two. They're not operational. The large pool and the small pool at a minimum need replastering, which we'll get into here in terms of cost and in terms of timing. The chlorine and the acid pump analyzer needs to be upgraded by the next season. And again, plastering the pool is just it's just going to buy some time, right? But it's not going to make the pool new. And that's where we're at a junction now, is we're having things fail where you can't just repair things anymore. So here you can see on the right-hand side is the small pump, and next to it just is the vault there. The large pump is similar, just larger, and it has a larger vault. But you can see the concrete on the surface is bad. It is much worse in that vault. And this is an asset, correct? So all of our facilities are assets. Recently, some of the other things that have failed out here, we talked about the large pool pump, but we did have the main building soffit that it failed and fell. Fortunately for us, that was covered by our insurance. We only paid our deductible. But once we realized the soffit fell because there was failures in the roofs. So we had to hire a contractor, if you recall, and all three buildings, there's three buildings on the, as part of the Aquatic Center, the main building, the pump house, which is the water equipment, and the snack bar. All those three roofs were done. The total of those three projects was over $300,000 that we've already invested in there. As far as programming goes, I'll touch on the surface. If you want more detail, I'm sure Gus will be able to help me here. But our program is seasonal from May to October, so it is not year-round. It's staffed with 20 part-timers, primarily lifeguards that we need to hire. So the reason why we're here today is because we have to start hiring those people in February, right? So we don't have a lot of time here to figure out what's going to happen. The staff training in May, again, that's all in jeopardy just due to the existing condition of the facility. And part of the problem is this facility is open, 4 to 5 months. And I think everybody here would agree that's a great amenity, and the community does need that. The question is, how much money do we sink into this? And if we're going to rebuild it, what do we rebuild back with? And what we saw, these are some of the programs that would be impacted there. What we saw when we did the needs assessment is that there was several projects identified at the Aquatic Center beyond just the repairs or the things that are failing. So these are new amenities. So one of the things was looking at was obviously looking at the deck. Again, these are just general ballpark numbers for now, about $500,000. There was talk about maybe doing a new splash pad. That's over $2 million. Adding a component of a water slide, and then adding a shade structure over that splash pad. That was just part of the needs assessment, was $3 million. If we go back to the water stuff that we talked about, that's about $1 million. That's not even talking about any of the other, let me go show you some pictures here. That's not even talking about any of the interior of the main building, which would be the lockers, the showers, the staff offices. All that is still over 36 years old. So you can see this thing can grow rather quickly. So let's just say if we tonight, my main thing to you is to tell you there's probably not going to be a season. And we need to figure out how to go forward. Just replacing that deck by itself, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, let's just say we agreed we want to replace that deck. Well, number one, the pool is still 36 years old. We have to spend another, $300,000 to replaster it. That's almost $800,000, and that could all be a throwaway cost. If those pumps fail, it's a throwaway cost. Okay, number two, if we touch the deck in our evaluation, there's potential that we may need to upgrade the pool to new requirements. For example, right now the requirement that we're grandfathered in is that pool has to recirculate 3 times a week. If we touch the deck, it may trigger that the pool needs to get upgraded where we have to recycle it 4 times a week. So maybe the piping that we have may not be sufficient. Maybe the pumps may not be sufficient. So we may have to touch the pumps and the piping anyways. Let's just say we don't. Let's just say we fix the deck and we go and replaster the pools. The piping is 36 years old. What if there's a leak 2 years from now? Do we want to gamble and rip out some of that concrete or rip out some of that pool that we just invested in? So now is the time to start looking big picture here with this center. Is what do we want to do with it? And I think everybody would say that they want to rebuild it. That's not the hard part. The hard part is, how do we pay for it? At the November 30th special CIP study session, we're going to bring you all of the projects. And there's over 100 projects that we're trying to pare down here. But the problem is not that we have projects. The problem is we don't have money to do those projects. So currently we have about $17 million in our UUT. And we have $2 million in bond. And we're going to come to you and tell you that we're going to recommend that you do $4 million per year for the next 3 years. It's only $12 million. Okay. This project alone, depending on how it grows, is anywhere between $5 to $10 million. So there's a math problem here. Okay. And that's why we're here to tell you that we need to start looking at other places of revenue or other funding sources, whether it be grants or whatever. But we're not going to be able to fund this ourselves. And if we do, we're going to sacrifice all the other projects that need to get done. That's what you have before you. So I'll stop there. Again, I wish I had better news for you, but I'd rather tell you sooner than later because there is major issues that need to be addressed. I'll take questions.
I have a question. I know it's a great necessity here in our community. Is there any way you guys can reach out? You know, you're talking about grants, and I know there's a lot of funding. There's a lot of money out there. But not only that, maybe asking Linda Sanchez, Lisa Calderon, Bob Archuleta, and who else am I missing? Janice Hahn, to see if they have any potential grants. Because, I mean, there's a lot of projects that they have monies set aside. Maybe they can actually set some money aside for us. I know that for Pico Rivera, I think they gave some money there.
1.2 million.
Yeah, so if there's anything like that before the 30th, before we have our CIP meeting, if you guys can reach out to them and talk to them to see what are they willing or what are they able to do for us. So then at least we know where we're at. I do see that it's a $5 to $10 million project. I do agree with you. And, you know, thank you for the information. I know that too. I mean, it's something that we're going to have to revamp and look at. And I know that, you know, sometimes even having heaters put in. So maybe instead of us being a 4 to 5 month, you know, open for pool season, I mean, if we install heaters, you know, you can have, you know, your season extend a little longer, you know, when it comes to our pool. So we know that a lot of seniors, a lot of kids and, you know, high school and, you know, some of our, you know, families would love to utilize it, but we can see what we can do there. But, you know, the grants are out there. I just think we just have to try to do our part to see if we can hit every revenue, you know, track.
Mr. Mayor, to talk to Councilman Zamora's question about talking to the legislators, over the last 2 days, I've spoken to representatives to all 4 of those legislators, and they were all encouraging, especially from Senator Ostroleta's office and Assemblymember Calderon's office. They said timing's good. We know in fact, Mayor Mora has already talked to him about the pool, and they're aware of that. And we're going to have meetings, personal one-on-one meetings with them within the week. And I'm having a meeting this week with all of the particular staff on grants. You know, with the, you know, there's some issues with the infrastructure bill that unfortunately being a lot of them based on per capita. You know, there's other competitive grants we're looking for. So yes, those are alternative sources that we're going to be hitting on before our next meeting with the entire council on infrastructure. And, you know, we're also in general looking for the first thing as city manager, I noticed that we don't have an ongoing revenue source for infrastructure improvements. And, here 4 years later, we're coming closer to coming to the people with a business license fee increase to deal with that potentially. Also working with the chamber working group on road improvements. So we're looking at a general tax that can help on all kind of infrastructure improvements so we can have an ongoing revenue source.
No, thank you for the report, but honestly, I think this is such a huge project. A simple, you guys putting it on the agenda here isn't enough for us. It's not enough for me. This is huge. I think we have to really look at all our options and making a decision today or giving you the direction. I think it wouldn't be fair for us, wouldn't be fair for the residents or for you guys, especially if your CIP meeting is in 2 weeks. I don't know if maybe we can do, I know there's a lot of meetings around, maybe we can do a study session on this just to do the options. Also, maybe we can also get maybe the social media or something, let the residents, as we're getting a lot more residents involved. Let's see what they would like to see in the city. I mean, even though, yes, we want it to be a revenue and we want it to be something to do with pools, maybe we can look at like La Mirada Splash Park, or maybe even put it on there and see what the residents are looking for. Because times have changed. Times have changed since when we were younger and it was teenagers in that big pool and little kids in the pool. You see it now. You don't see that. You don't see the big people. You don't see the adults or the teenagers in the big pool. That pool's not being used enough. The little pool is. Maybe we can do half a pool, half a splash pad. Maybe we can make it a park in the back area. These are all the options that we have to look at. And I don't think it'd be fair for us to tell you what to do now. And I'm speaking for myself. I don't know how the council feels, but I think I don't think it'd be right for us to tell you, okay, do this right now. I think we need to probably do a study session on it and see what everybody incorporated and then take it to the CIP and then bring it back to us. That way, because of the holidays, because of everything, I think it's too quick to make a decision on it for everybody. It wouldn't be fair for you guys to rush everything in 2 weeks. It wouldn't be fair for us to just tell you what to do. That way we have everybody involved in this. And this is going to be huge. This is either something, I mean, that's just a staple. I mean, you drive by and it's the pool. It's, do we want to continue it as the pool? Do we want to continue it? So there's so many options. I don't really think it's fair for us to make a decision right now for 2 weeks to make another decision. It's not right. We're not doing justice for us, for the city, and for the employees. So that's just my personal opinion.
That's a fair comment. So let me just clarify. I don't need you to make a decision today. I need you to understand what the problems are. And there are alternatives, but we need to figure out what those are. We're not going to figure them out in 15 minutes. And number two, we need to find some money, because I think we can all agree what we want to build, but how are we going to pay for it? And let's just say you put a slide in there, for example. It's one of those tubular and it has water. Now we may be labeled an amusement park. Now our conditions may be more strict and we need to spend more money to go comply with those requirements as part of that amusement park. So those are the things we need to start talking about. Today was meant to be the start of the conversation to figure out what direction we kind of want to go in. It's something we've been talking with the CIP subcommittee extensively. We've gotten feedback from them, but we felt that it was important that all of you understood what was happening. And more importantly, to know that we're probably not going to have a season. I'm very pessimistic about this. And I'm thinking we might not have the season in 2023. Whatever we decide, it's going to take me a year to build. That's if we find the money. So even if we find the money in January, I got to design it. It's going to take me time. And then I got to go build it. You're talking about anywhere between 18 months to 24 months. So I'm already behind the 8 ball. I wish I had better news, but I don't feel it's safe to put people in that pool in the condition that it's in.
Can I say something too? I was told, and I want to thank Ray for alerting me months ago about this condition at our one-to-ones, and it gave us an opportunity to think about it and know that it was coming up. You said dangerous, unsafe. These are our community that we're thinking about. We have to make sure that it's up to standards. Like Councilmember Zamora said, grants, funding, these are things that we have to look at, but it is a necessity. I know that seniors and children and the parents really enjoy swimming in there, and we just need to look at our options. And, you know, I see what Juanita's saying too, where this is sprung up on us, and we have to figure out a way to pay for it, and what we want there, what type of a aquatic center do we want? So, you know, it's going to take a little bit of time, but in the interim, we can go ahead and check out what type of monies that we can bring in.
Got one. So this is going to be a bigger than just, you know, a pool. This is something that we should be looking at as a general plan to see what the future is for these pools. I mean, this pool is 40 years old. But this is why it's very important for us to reinvest in our infrastructure, our parking lot, our pool. Once we let it go to a certain extent, it's doubling our costs. Our streets, our sidewalk, we have to figure out how to go out there and get that money. Like Joe Angel was saying, we have to reach out to our local representatives, Bob, Linda, Janice Hahn, all these people, because they're not going to give us the money if we don't ask for it. If we don't do our due diligence,
Get it?
then we can't just keep thinking that the city is going to pay for this, because we're not in the position that we were 15 years ago. So
Right.
we have to help and help them help us. And help
And
our
Linda
community.
Sanchez's presentation the other day,
And everybody else got money.
there's money out there. How do we get the money? And why
Rivera-
aren't we getting the money? And other cities are getting the money. We
and
have to fight for this money for our community.
But
And that-
Pico Rivera got 1.2 million, Norwalk got 1.5 million, Whittier got
and where are we?
700,000 for all projects that we've talked about to do, Wi-Fi, water, the library, all these projects. So we have to go out there and help them get this money back. Because if we want this pool, we're going to redevelop it into something that works for us today. And it might be a splash pad, it might be one pool, but it has to be, it's a bigger picture item.
Definitely.
We're not just gonna have him put $1 million into it and then a year or two later, we're gonna have to redesign it again because we didn't think of something. So, thank you, Noe.
Thank you, Noah.
Well, one more thing. That's where I grew up. So of course, you know, that pool is near and dear to my heart. But not only that, but it is back in the day, it was a community facility. And just having two pools with a tiny little snack bar, jacuzzis, that served the purpose back then. I know that some of the senior groups were devastated when they removed the spas, but it had to be done. I did have a chance to tour the La Mirada, the splash facility a couple times, been there a few times, took a tour with one of the general managers there, with Gus and Leanne, and they have an incredible working operation. Obviously, we don't have the room or the space that they have, but one thing that I do not want to do, because I know that in the past, you know, we kept that pool going, you know, a few $1,000s here, a few $1,000s here. You know, we already invested in that pump and that roof, so that's going to last us, you know, for a long time. But like you had mentioned earlier, we'll redo the plaster in the pools, but what about the pipes going through there, and then the tanks? So, you know, I would love to see that, you know, up and running next year. But like I said, it's probably not going to be possible, and all that, it's not safe. So I think that pool could be a destination location if we just, you know, all of us do our work. I kind of got the ball slightly rolling with Janice Hahn's office, and then we all just got to come together and search for that money. We don't want to jeopardize other capital improvement projects that we have, because we do need our streets and our sidewalks, like was mentioned here a little while ago. So we can't take that away, because yeah, the pool's only open, what, 3 or 4 months out of the year? But if we do this right, it has incredible potential. We already got set up with the Red Cross as a regional training facility. We have currently 9 of our guards that are instructor trainers in lifeguard training. And we could train guards, we could train instructors, we could train first aid, CPR. You know, we could return that to our city. And of course, we're going to help the community, but it's also we could profit from that as well. Snack bars. Now, we're not going to do what La Mirada does, but every season in funnel cake alone, they generate $10,000 in the 3 months in funnel cake. I think that could help us out a lot. Not that we're going to do funnel cake, but you know, there's just that Aquatic Center does have potential, but we do have to do it the right way. And I think it'll start by, you know, going towards our legislatures and finding that money, because, we can't let our other capital improvements suffer because of this, but we do need that pool in safe working condition. So that's all I've got to say about this, but thank you.
One more thing.
Thank you for the
Mr. Mayor.
presentation.
Oh,
You go.
just one more thing. And the reason why we bring up that, by the 30th, for them to reach out to the legislators, because the legislators start now for their budget next time. So that's why I brought that up, so they can start now. So I still would like to see, where they're at least to give our staff a timeline, so we know that we're doing our due diligence to reach out to those individuals. So on the 30th for the CIP, Noe, I would still like to see, where you guys are at and reaching out and, what the conversation is about.
Just let me clarify as well. We build stuff. We don't generally go out for grants like that. I mean, then we'd look to Ray's office. We'll work with Ray's office,
And as long as then Ray can give us
give them all the information necessary.
and that's fine. As long as we get the information, so all 5 of us are aware, so then we know who we need to reach out to and to do our part equally.
Just now that I have the forum here, I don't want to scare you, but we're going to do our CIP study session. It's going to be at least 2 hours long. We're trying to figure out how to give you all that information without you, Juanita, telling me the same things you told me today. But at the end of the day, you're going to tell me that. You're going to tell me you need more time to absorb everything. And that's okay. So the goal of that is to just get through every project so you can get an understanding of the totality of them all. And then over the holidays, you're able to ask questions and, let it marinate a little bit. And then we'll have a follow-up study session to talk about more details. And as part of that, we'll bring back the Aquatic Center as well. But it's going to be a lot of heavy lifting on that at the end of 30th. Thank you.
Thank you, Noe. All right. I'd like to call upon City Manager Ray Cruz.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and council members. Late in our budget process for fiscal year 2021-22, the city of Whittier informed us that our contract services for law enforcement with the Whittier Police Department would increase by 16%, which equated to over $1.5 million. This increase was a surprise to the city, and the primary reason for the increase was due to the 9% salary adjustment for the Whittier Police Department officers, what they received, along with the associated CalPERS retirement costs. This was needed because the Whittier Police Department was dead last in a salary compared to 28 cities in the region. During the passage of the budget, staff said it would come back to the city council and provide them a financial analysis to verify that the increase was accurate. Those meetings with individual council members started this week. Within these meetings, discussions of more transparency and interaction with Whittier officials was requested. These discussions will eventually most likely conclude in a rewrite of the entire contract between the two cities. One change that was already implemented is that the annual Santa Fe Springs Whittier policing contract being between the appointed officials that used to occur 1 year will happen every 4 months. And the next meeting will occur on January 12th. So at this point, I'd like to bring up Director of Public Works, Noe Negrete.
Mic don't work over?
Back again, sorry. Should have sat down. Go ahead and run the video here on the council parking lot. I just gotta say, we're really ecstatic about opening that parking lot up. We're putting the finishing touches on. We'll have our ribbon cutting on November the 30th, right before the CIP study session. I just want to thank Robert and the staff. They did a fantastic job out there. If you haven't seen it, I'm happy to take you out there. I think it looks good in the day, but it looks fantastic at nighttime with that lighting that's out there. I just want to thank everybody for their support and their patience for parking elsewhere, but we're about 2 weeks away from opening up. Thank you.
Thank you, Noe. And again, I think those pictures don't do it justice. It looks fantastic out there. You're gonna say something? Now I'd like to bring up Director of Planning, Wayne Morrell.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to call upon Vince, my associate planner for the presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Couple items, as Wayne would say, real quickly. First being our general plan update. Announcement, we do have a community workshop that we invite not only the city council, but the Santa Fe Springs community to come out and help participate in our 2040 general plan vision. It will be tomorrow evening, November 17th, from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. in Town Center Hall. There will be light packaged refreshments if that is another incentive for you. And also the second item that I have is an update on the Olivia Apartments, formerly known as Storm Properties, located on the southeast corner of Lakeland and Carmenita. They are getting very close to their final approvals. As you can see in the pictures and from the drone aerial, it is near completion. It is looking good. They do have a website up and available for leasing tours. And if you're curious to know, 1 bedroom, 1 bath pricing is from $2,500 to $3,000 a month. I got your attention. Two bedrooms, 2 baths, currently $3,100 to $3,500 per month. However, it is a highly high quality design. It does have a lot of amenities such as fitness center, walking trail, pool, spa, grill, and also a dog park for little Fido. That's all that I have, in case you have any questions.
Thank you, Vince. Now bring up Director of Police Services, Dino Torres.
Hi, good evening, council. I have 2 items tonight. Next slide, please. Last Tuesday was Law Enforcement Records and Support Personnel Day. And here's a couple of photos of the police services assistants who work with us in Santa Fe Springs at the Police Services Center. This was an opportunity for us to celebrate those who provide clerical and administrative support to the policing team and assist the public on a daily basis with requests for police reports and other law enforcement records. Next slide. The Whittier Police Department has begun their annual holiday toy drive that will run until December 18th. They're partnering up with the Salvation Army and Care Ambulance on this endeavor. People who wish to donate a toy can do so at the Police Services Center and other city facilities where we have a toy drop-off box. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'd like to bring up Chief Hayward.
Mr. Mayor and Council, good evening. Just going to give you a brief update on a few things. And first off, we're going to talk about just the 14-day change on the COVID numbers, both here in Santa Fe Springs and the County of Los Angeles. There's just been a little bit of a tick uprise in the COVID positivity rate. It's now at 0.91%, so it's still below 1%. If you look at the graphs down below, you can see both in the positivity rate and the hospitalization rate on the right. Things have dropped pretty dramatically since August. The top of the curve is August of this year. So things are looking much, much better. The daily hospital rate average within the entire county of Los Angeles is only at 600 related to COVID. Santa Fe Springs in the last 2 weeks, we've had another 20 positive. no additional deaths related with that. So continued positive news on that, and we can move to the next slide. Just to finish up again, October, I just had a conversation with the firefighters from the local, the monies that they raised during the month of October for breast cancer awareness. They're going to be donating $2,500 to the Patricia L. Shifley Breast Health Center at Presbyterian Intercommunity Hospital in Whittier. So those guys have done fine work on that. Next slide, last slide actually. In the upper left-hand corner, we are smack dab in the middle of November. The guys are still doing their mustaches. That's about all I can show you. I think I'm doing okay. In the middle, today, the guys were able to make it over to the Gus Velasco Neighborhood Center, where they've donated turkeys for the Thankful Neighbor Food Basket Program. And just to give you a heads up, December is rapidly approaching. We're going to be joining with KBC 7 for the Spark of Love Toy Drive, and also for some of the areas and charities that we also benefit on toys collected here at the fire stations and throughout the city. And so with that, I'd just like to wish you guys a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Thank you so much. That ends my report.
Thank you, Chief. I'd like to bring up Director of Finance, Travis Hickey.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Just a couple of items tonight, real quick to update you on. First is, I'm sure you've seen in the news that Federal Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, passed a vaccine/testing policy requirement earlier this month. On Friday of last week, the appeals court wasn't too much of a surprise, but has put a stay on that after a number of entities challenged the OSHA authority to issue such a requirement. It was originally scheduled to go in effect January 4th. It's currently in a stay pending a review as it works its way through the appeals court. So certainly something we're keeping an eye on. The policy as they proposed it would require either vaccine or weekly testing for employers of over 100 employees. And so something we'll continue to watch as it works its way through the courts. Next, I'm sure you also saw in the news the infrastructure deal. There was a lot of discussion tonight about funding for capital projects. And so this bill was just signed by the president. And so it will take some time, obviously, to work its way through the states and down to the cities. I think Ray mentioned before, we've a number of us sat in on the State of the Nation luncheon by Congresswoman Linda Sanchez, and there's certainly a concern on our part about the pots of money that will be allocated based on population. That's where our city tends to miss out. So we'll certainly be hoping that a number of these allocations will be based on project basis and priority and need for public safety and need-based more than population-based. So everything's still pretty new, so we're still really just getting the details on this bill. You can see the chart there gives you kind of a graphical depiction of how the money is allocated with between the roads, bridges, railroads, power grid, broadband, I mean, a number of things. So, you know, it's, well, we sat in on a briefing put on by the White House. There's well over 100 different programs that's going to be administered through a lot of different agencies. So, you know, it's going to take some time for us to really get a handle on what share of this money we might see. But again, we will keep an eye on it. I did find it interesting in terms of California's reaction to the bill. You know, while $1.2 trillion is a lot of money, to put it in context with California's share estimated to be $45.5 billion, which comes out to $1,200 per resident compared to over $6,000 per resident for Alaska. Of course, they don't have nearly the people. That's not maybe a fair comparison. But the quote here from Cal Matters is Dan Walters says, in a state with 40 million residents, a $3 trillion economy, a $200+ billion state budget, us getting $4.5 billion over 5 years is the proverbial drop in a bucket. So certainly it's we're going to value that money when we get it, but just to keep that context that we still have major challenges ahead of us as a city in terms of providing for the ongoing funding that we need for the city's infrastructure. So like the chief, I'd like to say a happy Thanksgiving to the council, members of the audience, the public watching. And at last council meeting, Councilmember Zamora brought up the issue of our, when I talked about our phone outages and the credit we would get from Frontier. So thanks to Paul Martinez, who worked with the Frontier representatives, we received a credit that amounted to $265.28.
Hey.
So that's all I have.
Thank you. I'd like to bring up Director of Community Services, Maricela Barderas.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. So I have a couple of items to share with you this evening. Our Parks and Recreation Division is going to be hosting its in-person fall camp on November the 22nd through the 24th at Little Lake Park for kids 5 to 11 years old. Staff's going to lead interactive games and activities during the Thanksgiving holiday break. Last year, we had a similar camp, but it was a virtual camp. And this year's fall camp is going to be our first edition of an in-person day camp during our Thanksgiving break. The Thankful Neighbor Thanksgiving Basket Program is going to be held next week, November the 23rd, from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Gus Velasco Neighborhood Center. This year's event is going to be a drive-through event, and the participants are going to receive a turkey and a $50 gift certificate, a gift card. The gift cards were generously donated by a local company for the participants to be able to purchase all their fixings. We currently have 85 families registered, and we anticipate that we're going to distribute 150 baskets. Our families can still register for the program by calling the Gus Velasco Neighborhood Center. If council members wish to attend and participate in the event, we ask that you arrive around 1:45 p.m. and then staff are going to be calling each one of you to confirm your attendance. And then lastly, this Friday on November the 19th, the Family Human Services Division is going to be hosting its first in-person indoor senior dance at the Gus Velasco Neighborhood Center. It's going to start at 9 a.m. and our participants are going to be able to enjoy a Thanksgiving lunch, entertainment, and prizes. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Maricela. And Mr. Mayor, that ends our executive team reports.
All right, thank you. Appointments to boards, committees, and commissions. Councilmember Sarno,
None tonight.
Councilmember Trujillo, Councilmember Zamora,
None tonight.
Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez,
None at this time, Mr. Mayor.
and I have none. Announcements, Councilmember Sarno.
Yes, I just want to, again, wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. The seasons are upon us, Christmas before you know it, and then the new year. This year went by very fast. I want to thank Public Works. I want to thank Kevin, Noe, Robert. You know, the outside, the parking lot, if you go out there, it looks phenomenal. Those pictures, Noe's right, doesn't do us justice. But the work that they did out there was just phenomenal. As a contractor, I appreciate the workmanship that they put in and the effort, but that goes to our staff, our vision of what we want to see for the city for the future. This investment is going to give us the next 30 to 40 years. So thank you guys for that. And that's it. Thank you guys.
Yeah, Councilmember Trujillo.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. It's great to see Mrs. Rios here, the Garys, the Huitrans. Thank you so much. We're starting to get our residents back in here. So thank you so much for being here. To us, it makes a difference when we have residents come to our meetings. So thank you for being here and giving your input. Thank you again for my flowers, my roses. And no, I'm not 55 yet either, Jay.
54.
Public Works, great ornaments on light on Telegraph Road. Thank you so much for the new lighting. It looks great. And that's it. Just happy Thanksgiving. Just be safe, everyone. Thank you.
Councilmember Zamora.
Same thing, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I know this is a time that, we get to spend time with our family, and that's a great blessing for all of us because the last year and a half, it was pretty difficult to see any of our loved ones. A lot of people had to FaceTime, and I think that's why, it's real important for us to move forward with broadband Wi-Fi to help out those residents and seniors who can't afford that. And also, just to make sure that, hey, the true blessing that we have is always the people in front of you, and we just can't thank God enough for what he does in our lives. So thank you all for being here. And to, all our veterans, we know we had our great Veterans Day, so thank you for their service and thank you for all that they do. And to our police and fire, thank you for what you guys do in our community. Thank you, staff.
Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Thank you all for being here. It's so appreciated. I wanted to thank you to Public Works. The decorations, the Christmas decorations are amazing, beautiful, inspiring, and thank you so much. They just look great. Please, Noah, Kevin, tell the staff that we appreciate everything that they do. The parking lot, I've been looking at it every day when I pass by, and I'm just so proud of it. It's so beautiful. Yeah, words can't express, like the video looks nice, but you have to really go out there and take a look at it. And the Santa Fe Springs Women's Club annual Christmas boutique, I would like to thank all the staff, all of our council, everybody, our police officers, our firefighters, everybody that came out to support. We didn't have one in 2019, and the ladies were just so happy to see everybody, and we actually sold out. It was great to be there and to be there and see everybody. So the ladies had a meeting today and they wanted me to express our appreciation to you. Just thank you so much for all your support. I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving with you and your loved ones, and just be safe, and we'll see you when we get back. Thank you.
Thank you. And also I want to start by saying a happy belated birthday to Juanita and Chief Hayward. Happy belated birthday to both of you. And I know Noah's probably gone, but I read that commendation letter that he got, so I also want to commend him and thank him for his service on the water board. Looking forward to tree lighting. We're finally back again. We're going to resume the Christmas folk program, so that's awesome. Also, the graffiti team. We had for some reason a lot of graffiti popping up, but one phone call to the graffiti team, I think it was Joe. But anyway, that team is just incredible. It's down by within hours that you call, or by next day if it's late at night. So, kudos to the graffiti team getting rid of all that. Also good to see the Aguirres and Ms. Rios and our residents here in council chambers. We're hope to fill this place up really, really soon. Also, police. A couple of my neighbors had been mentioning that at nighttime when the police officers are patrolling the neighborhood, they turn their side lights on as they're going up and down neighborhoods. They feel good when that happens. I never saw it until maybe a couple of nights ago, and I go, oh, there it goes. So it's a good feeling of security. So whatever officer is doing that, and also, I encourage PSOs, if they're out late at night, just do the same thing. It's a hopefully a great deterrent, but also a good sense of security for a community. I think that's about it. We're going to be adjourning the meeting in memory of Rudy Y. Martinez. He's the father of Richard Martinez, a former Little Lake City School Board member, and also father-in-law to Alma Martinez, one of our traffic commissioners, and also Tim Jimenez, baseball coach for St. Paul High School. And we are adjourned. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Have a good night.